And it says I'm live right now. Let me just check my mobile device to make sure that I am live. Let's see. Here we go. Make sure that I am live. Let's see. Yep. Here we go. I'm live. Okay. All right. What's up, people? This is kind of like out of nowhere. Um, I normally when we do things like this, we like we like to do promotion. We like to give y'all a heads up in advance about stuff that's coming on the channel. Um, but this kind of like came out of nowhere because I was thinking about this topic, and I had some raw thoughts that I wanted to get out there. I didn't want to wait. Um, uh, Pistola P816, thank you. My help, thank you for being here. Again, I wasn't expecting too much engagement, and I probably won't have that much engagement. But again, this is part of the reason why really y'all should subscribe to Collect All Monsters, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know when one of us may come up here with a random stream to talk about whatever it is we're going to talk about. And since we're, year 4 into this awesome show and endeavor, we're going to branch out and do other things, outside of collectibles. Of course, the collectibles is going to be the main source of conversation when it comes to this show. But there are times we'll drift out and talk about the movies because, like my great friend and co-host of Collect All Monsters, David M. Dopko, has always said, it ends with the movie, starts with the movies and ends with the movies. We would not be collectors. We would not be vlog or bloggers. We would not do, if you're on YouTube or on social media doing anything when it comes to kaiju, it started with the movies, So without the movies, we would not be where we are today when it comes to content creators. So I want to get that out the way right now. But again, we're going to branch out and start doing other things. And recently, I, it just hit me. Well, not just hit me. I've been knowing about this for a while. Shut up, Leslie. Just joking. But actually, there was something on my mind I want to talk about, and I was going back and forth whether I should talk about it. But you know what? As somebody on the show, if you know anything about me, I care little about what people think of me, and I have controversial opinions, and I'm gonna voice what I want to voice. I'm gonna say what I want to say. I try to be respectful as I can. Don't get me wrong. Don't think I'm just this evil demon that just tears people to shreds. I don't do that normally, but at the same time, I do have my own opinions. I do have opinions I feel strongly about, and I don't mind coming up here and just talking about this stuff. And what we're going to talk about today is the 1998 Godzilla. Dun, dun, dun. I know a lot of people out there like, oh, really? You asked you're going to talk about it? Yes, I am. Now, I won't give a blow by blow or synopsis of the whole film, because if you're a Godzilla fan, obviously you've seen this film. Obviously, you know about this film. Obviously, you know that this film, when it comes to the hardcore Godzilla fan, is not really too highly favored. But I did want to at least talk about it because this is the 25th anniversary of this film. This year marks the 25th anniversary of this film. And again, the purpose of me doing this is hopefully I can inspire the other hosts on Collect All Monsters, Kyle, Christine, David, John, or even the moderators that we have in our group. Jonathan Portman. Just the people that we have behind our show. Maybe they wouldn't mind coming up here every now and then on a random Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon and talk about whatever it is they want to talk about. I think doing stuff like that every now and again. I mean, of course, we try to get as much engagement as we can. That's the name of the game sometimes. But I think sometimes coming out of nowhere like this and not knowing when the stuff is going to happen, because again, you need to subscribe to the channel. You guys subscribe to the channel, because you never know. You may end up getting a stream like this or anything. So the purpose of that monologue, ladies and gentlemen, is basically just subscribe to the Collect All Monsters channel. Aside from the past shows we have done, unboxings, all that good stuff. This is a really, really good channel when it comes to kaiju collectibles and movies and all that good stuff. Because at the end of the day, we're all fans. Like myself, David, everybody that's part of the show, we're fans. Like we love the movies, we love the monsters, we love the characters, we love the stories, we love everything about the movies that has bled over into creating this awesome fandom. But I personally feel that this film, I think the hate for this I think the hate for this film is really, I think we should move on from that. Now, let me preface this by saying this, ladies and gentlemen. If you absolutely hate the 1998 Godzilla, you are well within your right to do so. If you don't like this film, if you think this film was a step down in terms of Godzilla, you are right in feeling how you want to feel. However, there is a lot of people that actually really enjoy this film. They really enjoy this film. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of people that actually got their start being a Godzilla fan because of this film. So I get more into that later as we go along here. But again, looking back on it now, 25 years later, is the film that bad? We'll build up to it. Okay, we'll build up to it. But first, let me start off by saying my history with this film. Now, the first time I saw this film coming was back in 1997. And I remember because I was in college at the time. It was like my second year in college. And I went to go see Men in Black in 1997. And they show like 18 different trailers before the movie comes out. That's nothing new. But one of the trailers was for the 1998 Godzilla, and it was the trailer with the teacher and the kids in the museum and all that good stuff. And even to this day, that trailer is like one of the best trailers I've ever seen. Honestly, it's like the kids are in the museum, and the guide and the teacher with this boring voice. He was boring. Let's get that out of the way right now. The guy was boring. He was like telling the children. I'm surprised those children didn't like just run in all different directions, because that teacher was like boring, talking about the Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton. Come on, this is the T-Rex and his jaws. Blah, 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 blah. You know it, right? On the background, you hear like this thumping noise, like this big thumping noise that would happen every now and then. Like something big is making its way towards the museum. And then all of a sudden, the foot of Godzilla just comes down during the roof, the glass skylight roof, and crushes the T-Rex. When I saw that, I was like, that's got to be Godzilla. That has got to be Godzilla. And then you see the tail just glide over the museum. And then it says, guess who's coming to town? And they show Godzilla's name, and you hear his roar, at least a variation of his old roar. And I was so pumped. And then at the very end of that trailer, it was like, coming to you next year. I was like, that is like one of the biggest teasers of all time. The 2014 kind of gave us a tease, but before 2014, that trailer was like the biggest tease of all time. You know what I mean? And I would say even the marketing up until we got the movie was actually done really, really well. Like not only that trailer with the kids in the museum, but the trailer with the scene that ends up being in the movie anyway, where Godzilla attacks the pier and that fisherman. Oh my God. And he rises up and you see his eyeball. That was a really fun trailer. Or the one where he appears on New Year's Eve and he smacks the ball in Times Square, and it says 1998, the year of Godzilla. Like, wow, that was really a cool trailer. Then the other trailer, like the more in-depth trailer, you still couldn't see Godzilla, but the more in-depth trailer that we got, like, say, maybe 2 or 3 months prior to the film coming out. So again, I thought the marketing leading up to that film was handled really, really well, and they mostly kept Godzilla's appearance a secret. Right, which I actually did enjoy, because I think not knowing about something, especially as this was the first American adaptation of Godzilla, and a lot of people were really, really anticipating this. So to keep the monsters secret, at least his overall design a secret, I thought was handled really, really well. The problem is that I remember this because I was going to see the movie like on a Saturday. Probably because I think the movie came out on a Friday. I forgot what day it was, but I was going to see that movie right on a Saturday. And like maybe 3 days before Friday, I went to the mall to get me some stuff, like to get me an outfit. And I happened to walk by KB Toys. Remember KB Toys? And they had all the 1998 Godzilla collectibles right in the front of the store. I don't know if they were supposed to do that because I heard mixed. I heard two different stories. I heard that KB Toys kind of like jumped the gun. I think they were supposed to wait until the movie came out before they started showing the toys, but the toys was right front and center at the front of the store, so you got a good view on what Godzilla was going to look like. And I saw that and I was like, oh, okay. Mind you, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it, but I was like, okay, all right, we'll see what happens. And I was going to give Godzilla the benefit of the doubt because, again, a toy is one thing. Seeing design in a movie when it's moving and CGI is in full effect is a totally different thing. So I was going to give Godzilla the benefit of the doubt, right? So even though the design, it looked all right, it wasn't what I was expecting, but it was like, okay. Yeah, you're right. IZ Kai 54. Yeah, the Taco Bell commercials was not only funny, but they were handled really well too. With that dog and trying to set a trap for Godzilla. He leaves it. We'll talk more about that later on. But again, I thought the marketing leading up to the film, leading to the monster's appearance in the film, was handled really well. Even in the film, when you finally see the film and the scenes involving Godzilla up until we see him fully unobstructed in New York. You know, the opening scene where he attacks the Japanese fishing boat, I thought was handled really well. You see his claws just pierce through the ship. You see his tail just whack the ship, just whack the ship. You know, or the other scene where he pulls the fishing trawlers down. You know, as he's making his way closer towards the American seaboard. So those scenes really emphasize how big this thing was without even actually showing Godzilla. So I thought that was handled really well. Even when he makes landfall in New York for the first time, just you may see a foot here, or you may see his dorsal plates and like in another scene. You may see his tail glide across the building in another scene, or you may see half of his face, you know, bounce up, you know, in the windows of the building. But you never really get a full look at Godzilla when he first makes landfall in New York. I thought that was handled really well. Again, everything leading up to the appearance of Godzilla in the 98 film, again, from the teaser trailers to the marketing, aside from the KB Toys snafu, I thought everything leading up to the monster's appearance in the film was handled really, really well. When you see Godzilla for the first time, when he rises up out of the sewer before they set that trap for him, or while he's making his way towards the fish trap, that was when the wind came out of my sails. I have to be honest. Like, I was like, because again, those reservations I had when I saw the toy 3 days earlier, all that just came back when I saw the design for the first time. And again, it's one of those situations where you were expecting one thing, but then you end up getting something totally different, and it wasn't really that good. And the film as a whole, I look at it this way, because again, I don't want to go blow by blow, scene by scene in the movie. I mean, there are a lot of things to really criticize about this film. The actors were kind of garbage. Matthew Broderick, I'm sorry, he was good in Ferris Bueller. He was good in War Games, but as a scientist here, I couldn't really get into him. The girlfriend I found was annoying. Actually, you know what? The people I thought was actually fun was actually the side characters. I actually thought that Hank Azaria, or Azarian, whatever his name is, Animal, you know, the cameraman, I thought he was actually funny. I actually thought the guys who was a parody for Cisco and Ebert, I thought they were funny. But aside from that, the cast by and large wasn't really that good. But the way I look at the 98 film right now, like back then, again, I hated it because it wasn't what I was expecting. It wasn't anything that I thought I was going to come into being a Godzilla fan. But now looking back on it 25 years later, I look at it like, yes, it's a Godzilla film. I know some Godzilla fans don't really acknowledge that this is a Godzilla film. I do. I look at it like this is a Godzilla film. They tried to make it as a new adaptation as they could, but they kind of got away from what made Godzilla so special. right? Because when you think of Godzilla, you have these certain prerequisites you have in your head. You have certain things that you think about when somebody says the name Godzilla, right? And when you attach when you attach Godzilla's name to a film and say this is a Godzilla film, it's a film that's going to feature Godzilla, you kind of have some ideas in your head. Um, and the problem with the '98 Godzilla is that it did so many things that was direct opposite of the original Godzilla. Design, take the design out of it, but the fact that he doesn't breathe fire, the fact that he actually runs away from the military instead of facing down the military, the fact that made him pregnant, the fact that again they just made him like an ordinary animal. And I think that was the main reasons why people hated this film when it first came out and still hate it to this day. And that's understandable. Like I take nothing away from those people who feel that way. Again, looking back on it now, 25 years later, and I'm sorry if I'm going to be all over the place with this, but looking back 25 years later, I look at like, you know what? Yes, it was a bad adaptation of Godzilla, but I at least I appreciate them trying to do something. But the problem was that even back then, Roland Emmerich, one of the guys that produced the film, or at least in charge of the film, who did Independence Day and was given this project, he was admittedly vocal of the fact that he really didn't care for Godzilla. He really didn't care for the character. He really didn't care for the movies or the older movies. And I think that was the biggest problem with '98 to start with. I'm sure Toho didn't mind getting that money, that money that they needed or wanted to have for Sony to use the character. I'm sure Toho didn't mind that. But the problem was when you have a filmmaker that's not really passionate about the film that they're doing, especially off of an old school character like Godzilla, more likely from an artistic standpoint, your film is doomed to fail. And so looking back on it now, when I read that and heard about Roland Emmerich not really caring for Godzilla, watching the '98 film now, it makes all the sense in the world. The problem is they did so much to try to make this like a brand new creature, but they didn't really honor the cool stuff that made Godzilla special in the first place. And the problem with '98 also, I feel, is that when you ask a casual fan about Godzilla, right? Not somebody that's in our community, not somebody that's in the fan base. If you ask them about Godzilla, what is Godzilla? And a lot of times what you're probably going to hear is that they're going to say, oh, you mean that big giant lizard thing that attacked Tokyo? Or that giant lizard thing that fought King Kong? Or that giant lizard thing that breathes fire or whatever? Like they have this notion that Godzilla is like this big giant lizard, right? Even though he's a dinosaur. There's a big difference there. But the thing about that is that again, when you ask a casual fan what they think about Godzilla, more likely they will give you that blanket statement about it being just a big giant lizard. And that's basically what the '98 Godzilla design, at least this character of Godzilla was. He was just a big giant lizard. He wasn't a prehistoric monster that was brought back to the modern world. He wasn't this allegorical character that has meaning behind it. He was just a giant animal. He was just a giant iguana, which made him less special than the original Godzilla. And I think that was the reasons why to this day people hate this version of Godzilla. And again, they're not wrong for feeling that way. And the fact that he's taken out so easily, like he's taken out like what, but like with what, six missiles, right? The original Godzilla would have laughed at 6 missiles. So again, it's like this. It's like people don't understand why Godzilla fans, like some Godzilla fans, are highly vocal about their hatred for this film because they love Godzilla so much. But imagine, again, Godzilla in this film did so many things direct opposite to the original Godzilla. Again, the fact that he ran away from the military, the fact he was taken out so easily, the fact he doesn't breathe fire. Imagine you went to go to see a Batman film and you said, or at least you marketed like the latest Batman that came out with Robert Pattinson a couple of years ago. And they marketed it as this film is going to be a Batman film. It's going to be a brand new actor playing Batman. But you go into the film and Batman is not a genius. He's not a billionaire. He's just this clunky, trying to be a superhero that has nothing in common with the original Batman, or has nothing like an homage to the original Batman. It's like a cheap imitation, if you will. You have a lot of people upset. And that's how Godzilla fans were and still is to this day. Because they went into this film with preconceived notions about Godzilla, and what we got in the creature was the bare bones version of Godzilla. And again, they're not wrong for feeling that way. Um, but for me, looking back on it now, I look at it as like, yes, I still consider it a Godzilla film. It failed in its execution of the character. But I look at it also as a monster film. I think this film was like um, a reimagined version or reboot of like the Beast of 20,000 Fathoms. I think a lot of people would be more okay with that than it is Godzilla. But again, they called it Godzilla, so a lot of people, at least Godzilla fans, we had this preconceived notions about the film. And it is what it is. But at the same time, I'm not one of these fans that hate this film so much that I don't acknowledge it, that it never happened. I'm not going that far with it. You know what I'm saying? And there are some fans out there that are like that. They hate this film so much that they don't even acknowledge it. And again, they entitled to feel how they want to feel. To me, that's not too realistic. Even though I don't like this film, I'm still going to acknowledge it because it happened, right? There are some Toho Godzilla films I don't really particularly care for, like Space Godzilla, Tokyo SOS, and Final Wars, and they were all made by Toho. But those are like my least favorite Godzilla films that I really go back to. And 98's in that category too of films I really go back to, but I still acknowledge them as Godzilla films. In my opinion, those films in particular kind of fail in the execution of what they want to do. But for me, to say that nothing good came from the 98 Godzilla film being out there, I think is that statement is wrong. Because with this film, even though it really didn't please a lot of Godzilla fans, it did a lot of things outside of the movie itself. Like, for example, it brought out Destroy All Monsters for the first time on home video, which was the one film that I never saw, like the one old school film that I never saw. So I was able to get it on home video. And they brought out, in conjunction with the new movie coming out. They brought out all the Heisei films behind Biollante, King Ghidorah, Mothra, Mechagodzilla 2, Space Godzilla, and Destroyer. They brought them out on home video for the first time. You know what I'm saying? The cartoon, and I'm gonna get on the cartoon in a few minutes too. But I actually thought the cartoon was actually really good too. The '98 cartoon, and it's kind of funny. The '98 cartoon honors more of the original Japanese Godzilla than the movie did. And it's funny, it's like a disconnect in a lot of ways because people hate the 98 movie, but they love the 98 cartoon. But it's still like the same design. But I think what it comes down to is like the 98 cartoon version of Godzilla acted more like the original Japanese Godzilla. So had the movie version acted more like the 98 cartoon version, I think the movie would be better received, right? Not only, like I said, Destroy All Monsters, all the Heisei films behind Biollante, brought out on home video, the 98 cartoon, the fact that, Toho saw that this pissed off a lot of Godzilla fans. We got Godzilla 2000 a year later, which gave rise to the Millennium series, and GMK, because I love GMK, right? So again, to say that nothing good came from this film being out there, I don't think that is true. There is some good with this film. Again, I look at it like, yes, it's a Godzilla film, but it failed in its execution. But as a monster film, I find it to be very, very entertaining. But I also think it's also very unfortunate that there are a lot of people out there that love this film. There are a lot of people out there that love this film, and they love the design of Godzilla. A lot of people, this is how they got their start being a Godzilla fan, because of this film. But they're afraid to admit that on social media. Because even though I love this community, I love our fandom that we have put together and all that good stuff, but this fandom can also be very toxic. This fandom can also be full of gatekeeping people. And a lot of people have been attacked because they have talked about, at least they're vocal about their love of something that's not very popular in our fandom. And I think that is so wrong. So I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that love the 98 Godzilla, but they're afraid to admit that because they're afraid of being attacked. Let me just tell you that don't let anybody stop you from being vocal about what you want to be vocal about. If you love the 98 Godzilla, if you love this design, be vocal about it, right? There's nothing wrong with being vocal about something that that is highly unpopular. You know, yes, it may hurt to get those stinging comments, but at the end of the day, don't let anybody stop you from being vocal about what you want to be vocal about. And again, I have seen so many people get attacked because they talk about their love for this film, and I think that's wrong. Now, if again, like I said in the beginning of the stream, if you hate the movie, that is perfectly fine. That is perfectly fine. But it is not fine to attack somebody who does love it. I will never be behind that. This is coming from somebody. Yes, I do joke a lot. I really do. I joke a lot on social media. I joke a lot with a lot of people on social media. But at the end of the day, I'm not really serious. I just have fun. I have fun. At the same time, there are people that attack me sometimes for me being vocal about my love for stuff that's not popular. Like, for example, my first ever Gamera film that made me a fan was Gamera Super Monster. That's regarded as one of the worst Gamera films of all time. But you know what? I love that film. And I'm not ashamed to admit that. I love Godzilla versus Gigan, and people attack that film for the stock footage, for all the problems that that film has. I love Godzilla versus King Ghidorah in 91. And a lot of people attack that film for being convoluted and being just a big jumbled mess. But you know what? I don't care because I love that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't make me less of a Godzilla fan, just like it doesn't make those people who love the 98 film less of a Godzilla fan. You love what you love. You don't love what you don't love. And I'm hoping, I'm praying for the day that a person that hates the 98 Godzilla and a person that loves 98 Godzilla can just come together on social media and have a mature conversation as to why they feel the way they feel. Now, at the end of the day, I don't expect those people to come away from it feeling the exact way that the other person feel, but at least you can have a conversation about it and be like, you know what? I understand where that person's coming from. I understand where that person's coming from. That's what I hope for this fandom. And I just feel like that, again, I just feel like that this film, I think we should move on from the hate for it. Even when Spiral Studios announced their statue of the Zilla, it created like a crap storm. I ain't gonna say the S word. I'm trying to be a family friendly show. It created a crap storm, and a lot of people were actually going back and forth, not because of the awesome statue that Spiral Studios was producing, but over the title of the film. They called it Zilla, where some fans were upset they didn't call it Godzilla. There were some fans that were upset they didn't call it Geno, overlooking the fact that we're finally getting a gigantic size, realistic version of that monster design, right? It's like people were just going back and forth over the name, and it's like it's not worth it. It really isn't worth it. I'm not saying that you should feel bad for not liking the 98 Godzilla. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you're perfectly fine to feel that way. But I feel like that it's just that this is a film that I think we should move on from hating. It happened, and let me tell you a little secret. No matter how much hate you have for it, no matter how much vocal disdain you put on social media of the film, no matter how much you wish it would go away, guess what? It's not going away. It's not going away. It happened. It happened. Let's just, mark it up as a win or a loss, whatever the case may be, and let's just move on. But at the same time, this film is worth celebrating. You know what I'm saying? Again, I gave you a few reasons why. Again, there's some good things that came from this film being out there. And I'm always grateful for a film where the film does bad or does good. Any movie that brings awareness to the older films, because that's what this film did, believe it or not. It brought awareness to the older films. I'm always going to be a fan of. But again, the 98 cartoon, the home video releases of Destroy All Monsters and all the Heisei films behind Biollante, the rise of the Millennium series and GMK, right, Sandra? I know you're in the chat. It gave us all these wonderful things, but it also gave us some great Godzilla fans. Because again, there are a lot of Godzilla fans that got their start being a Godzilla fan because of this film. But again, a lot of those fans are not trying to be vocal because they're afraid of being attacked. Let me just tell you, ladies and gentlemen, don't let anybody stop you from being vocal about what you love. Okay, it is social media. You're not going to please every single person. You're not going to please every single body that's out there. There are people out there that just hate for the sake of hating. But at the same time, you have to be you. You have to live your life, right? You have to, you want to be a part of this fandom, right? And you want to voice your opinions, right? There's nothing wrong with that. And if you love this film, God bless you. There's nothing wrong with that. If you hate this film, God bless you. But at the same time, for those people who hate this film, It does not give you the right to attack people that do love this film. So can't we all just get along? Can't we all just get along? You know what I'm saying? So if this film, in my opinion, if this film does anything else, hopefully it would teach everybody in the Godzilla fandom that not everybody's going to feel the same way about every single thing. Not everybody is going to be on the same page, but we can at least should come together and have a just mature conversation why we like what we like, why we don't like what we don't like, and let's just leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we're all fans of the same hobby. We're all fans of the same characters. We're all fans of the same monsters. We're all fans of the same stories. You know what I'm saying? So let's just get back to embracing that. Let's leave all the negativity and toxic stuff to the other fandoms, DC, Marvel, Star Wars. I've heard stories about those fandoms too. But I like to think that as Godzilla fans, we're better than that. We should be better than that. You know what I mean? So again, I don't expect you if you hate this film or you don't like this film. I don't expect this film to be like in your top 10 once the stream is over. But let's just honor it. And instead of worrying about what the film did wrong, let's honor some of the things that the film did right. There's got to be something. There's got to be something that this film actually did right. There are a couple of things, again, this film did right for me personally. I thought the marketing was great. I thought the lead up to Godzilla's appearance was great. I actually love the ending scene where Godzilla gets pissed off that all his young are dead and he's chasing the cab. Like we see Godzilla like an enraged creature, kind of shades of the old school Godzilla. So there's some things to love about this film. You just have to find it. So, but that's the reason why I want to come up here and talk about this, because again, this was on my mind. I want to give my I want to give my raw thoughts about this. And again, I want to inspire my other hosts on Collect All Monsters to talk about maybe not the 98 Godzilla film, but just something that's on their minds that they want to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you want to just get stuff out there, right? You want to get it, it's on your heart, it's on your mind. You want to just get it out there, right? And I felt like, this was worth getting out there. So if I offended some people, and honestly, I don't see how I could offend people because I was trying to be as very diplomatic as I can. But at the same time, I'm going to give my opinion. And if that opinion rubs you the wrong way, then it is what it is. I'm not attacking you personally, but at the same time, I feel how I feel. Like the same way these people feel about this film that they love it, that's how I feel. And you should not be censored for feeling how you want to feel. And you should be able to feel free to say that on social media without getting attacked. So I wanted to get this out of the way right now. So again, I'm sorry if I've been ignoring the comment section for the past 30 minutes, but let's see if I can bring this down and showcase some highlights before I get up out of here. Let's see. Again, Mark Rodriguez, thank you very much for being here. Again, Pistola P816. Let's see, yay. I'm sorry, Izzy Kai's 54. Yay, I love the 98 film as a monster movie. See, that's what I'm saying. Let's see what else. Let's see, like me, I enjoy it again. Oh, Kaija Kim. What's up, Kaija Kim? She says, I've been guilty of jumping on that hate bandwagon for this film, but in reality, it's quite entertaining. Plus, if it wasn't for this film, we may not have gotten Godzilla 2000. See what I'm saying? We got GMK. Me and Sandra love GMK. So if the 98 film led us to GMK, it's a winner. Ain't that right, babe? I know you're downstairs watching. It's a winner. We got GMK out of it. Even though GMK, I have to say, it did poke fun at the 98 film. Remember in the beginning of the film where it was like, well, they were talking about the that creature that attacked New York. Obviously, they were talking about the 98 film. They were referencing the 98 film, and the two Japanese soldiers on the classroom. They was like, "That was Godzilla, right?" And the other guy was like, "I don't think so, but our scientists here have doubts." That's all they said. Honestly, Toho could have been a lot more brutal than that. They could have been like, "That was Godzilla, right?" And the other dude was like, "Come on, bro, come on now." That was fun. Let's see. Going back to Pistola P816. No, the movie was fine, entertaining. Big G. That's understandable. Let's see who else. Pistola P816 says, I'm a Showa guy born and raised on it. So seeing G98 was a huge disappointment. You know what? You're right. And I felt that same way when I first watched it. When I went in there, I was so hyped for it because the trailers got me so hyped. When I came out of it, I was like, Huh. Okay. Well, the horse has left the barn. The toothpaste has left the tube. Ain't no way we can get that one back. You know what I'm saying? Again, I feel like that again, it happened. I appreciate the effort. I appreciate them trying, you know what I'm saying? But it just was a failed execution. And you know what? There's another thing. Even Godzilla is allowed to have a bad day. Some people feel like Godzilla should be a winner in every single thing. He should have every movie that should be a winner. Every show that he's a part of, it should be a winner. Everything that has Godzilla's name on it should be a winner. But every pop culture icon has had a bad day at some way, shape, or form. Star Wars. Some people hate the Phantom Menace. People think that the Phantom Menace is like one of the worst Star Wars films of all time, based on what I've heard. Or like the more recent ones, like The Last Jedi. I've heard some really polarizing things about that film. Right? Batman and Robin, 1997. I heard that was like one of the worst Batman films or adaptations of all time. James Bond. Some people hate Moonraker. Some people hate A View to a Kill, and they look at those films like one of the worst films of all time. Jaws the Revenge, King Kong Lives. Do I need to say more than that? Even Godzilla deserves a bad day. Even Godzilla deserves a bad day every now and then. You know what I'm saying? Godzilla can't win in every single thing. So I look at it like that, like, okay, it was a bad day for Godzilla, but you know what? They regrouped, they learned from it, and they kept moving. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with that. Let's see who else. Let's see. Highlight more comments here. John Reno or Gene Reno, whatever his name is. Yeah, the French guy and Hank Azaria were the ones I cared about. See, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. My Matthew Broderick and that girl. God, that girl was frustrating. She was frustrating. I wish Godzilla would have stepped on her, but hey, it is what it is. Again, exactly. Roland had no honor for the franchise. That's another thing. Roland Emmerich, was vocal that he really didn't care for Godzilla. There was like a tall tale sign that maybe he shouldn't be in charge of the film. But that goes to show you, like, again, once you hear that, once you know that was actually true, that Roland Emmerich, one of the filmmakers behind the film, didn't really care for the subject matter. Looking back on 98 Godzilla, everything makes perfect sense now. You know what I'm saying? And that's unfortunate. That actually kind of makes, it kind of makes Final Wars appear a little bit better. Because at least I don't particularly care for Final Wars. And I think Final Wars is a dumpster fire. But at least I forgot his name, Kitamura, I think that's his name, who directed the film. At least he was a fan. He was a self-professed fan of the older Godzilla films, especially the 70s, which is why Final Wars is kind of like balls to the wall. But at least he had passion for it. You know what I'm saying? At least he had passion for the older films. Even Michael Dougherty with Godzilla King of the Monsters 2019. A lot of people tend to hate on that film because that was a fan service film. Guess what? There's nothing wrong with a fan service Godzilla film. Did it make as much money as 2014? No. Did it make as much money as a lot of people hoped that it would? Absolutely not. But that was a film I truly enjoyed. As a Godzilla fan, there were so many Easter eggs that I caught that I know a lot of people in the audience that were not Godzilla fans did not catch. So I caught that reference. I caught that Easter egg. I caught all those. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with a fan service film. And people tend to think that film is over the top or whatever, which is, it is what it is. But at least Dougherty was a fan. I would applaud him for being fans. As a matter of fact, I think every MonsterVerse filmmaker were like fans of the older films. Dougherty, Gareth Edwards, John Voight, whatever his name is, the guy who did Kong Skull Island, and of course, Adam Wingard. You could say what you want about the films, but at least they were fans about it. But Roland Emmerich wasn't, and that's a shame. But even despite him not being a fan, the 98 film is fine for what it is. It's cool for what it is. It happened. It is what it is. Let's see who else. Pistola Pete 3816 says it's a monster movie, not Godzilla. I don't hate any movie really, but as a fan, not Godzilla, and that's understandable. That's understandable. I understand that. I still look at it as a Godzilla film, but it's like a watered down adaptation. And see, okay, he says that's not fair. We should accept anything Godzilla. We need to grow our fan and not spank and hate others. I agree. Let's see. I prefer G14 over King of the Monsters, for example. Okay. Oh, Kyle, what's up, Kyle? How you doing, sir? He said I was very vocal about this film and why I hate it, but I cool significantly on it after 20 years. If you love the 98 film, that's fine. I support you in that, Kaiji friend. See? We need more people like Kyle. Sandra, what's up, babe? How you doing? I'm gonna be down there in a few minutes. Let's see. Release the hate for 98. You know what? That should be a tagline. Release the hate for 98. Let's see. Okay. Oscar Solis, what's going on? Appreciate it. Appreciate y'all being here. Let's see who else. Jonathan Portman. I'm about to get up out of here. That's a lot of fish. Oh yeah, that's like that's a lot of fish. Oh yeah, that was when that scene happened, and Godzilla is just gulping down the fish. He's gulping down the fish, and they had that back shot of his. Never mind. That's a scene I wish I would forget. Let's see. Even Oscar Solar says, even though it probably won't happen, but I would love to see the 98 design in the MonsterVerse as a sub-Godzilla species. That could happen. I mean, we just said 98 Godzilla in Final Wars, so. But I agree with that. I don't mind seeing the 98 Godzilla resurface again at some point, shape or form, Let's see, who else? Yeah, Voight Roberts. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Kyle. Let's see, regardless of my views of this film overall, I still love the first 35 or so minutes of it. Such a solid build, see? And Cone Stefan, I just know that when I watched this as a kid, I always loved the design of Godzilla, even though he didn't resonate as Godzilla with me. You know what? I think a lot of Godzilla fans feel that way. It wasn't the Godzilla we were expecting. And that is a fair criticism because it wasn't. Again, it was not a monster that had meaning behind it. It wasn't this once in a lifetime creature that has come back from the prehistoric world to attack Japan, or at least attack the world. He was just in giant, oversized iguana. They stripped everything that was special about the original Godzilla, and that's what we got with the 98 version. But again, it happened. It is what it is. And let's just hope. I just hope that somehow we can appreciate this film a little bit more, or at least we can have a mature conversation from people that feel the exact opposite about this film in a mature way. Hopefully, I can inspire folks to do that. If not, then we're not going to grow as a fandom. Because guess what? Not every Godzilla fan is going to love every single thing about Godzilla. There's some fans out there that don't really love the MonsterVerse, but it doesn't make them less Godzilla fans. So let's just, again, to put a bow on this conversation, let's move on from hating on this film. Let's move on from hating on the design. Let's just accept the fact that it happened. And no matter how much we hate on it, it's not going to go away. And let's just chill out on making those who do love this film feel bad. Can we do that? I think we can do that. That's not like a tall order to ask, quite frankly. But yeah, that's all I want to say in this kind of random, out of the ordinary stream on Collect All Monsters. Which again, you need to subscribe to the channel because you never know who may come up here and talk about whatever it is want to talk about. And again, this was like something that kind of came out of nowhere. Normally, I would tell Kyle about this, let him know. But again, this was kind of like brewing in my mind because I think I watched the movie like a few nights ago. And again, it dawned on me that, again, it's the 25th anniversary for this film. And I was driving, because I'm a truck driver, right? And the next day I was driving, I had the radio off, and I started thinking about this film. And I started thinking, does this film deserve all the hate that it gets? Maybe somebody should talk about that. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be that person. So if it inspires some conversations, some mature conversations, let me get that out of the way right now, some mature conversations, then that's fine. But again, if you love this film, if you were a fan because of this film, be vocal about it. And again, nobody has the right to tear you down because of that. Please remember that. Okay? So that's pretty much it, what I want to talk about. And I think I might watch the film again tonight. Hopefully Sandra will let me watch it. I think she enjoys the 98 Godzilla. I know what I can do. I'm going to say, babe, can we watch this? And then we can watch GMK afterwards. Then I'm a shoe in from that. All right, that's it. So please stay tuned for the next episode on Collect All Monsters. I think it's either next weekend or the weekend after that, Father's Day weekend. you know, and then the following next month, we're all going to be at G Fest, tearing Chicago up. Just recently, David did his review on the Tokyo SOS Mondo statue. Oh, it's over there. I thought it was back here. Oh, the box is over here. He just uploaded that to the channel, so please check that out. Last week, myself, AJ Russo, Michael Hamilton, Bat Chain Puller, Stephen Robert Staley, and Eric Stoke got together and talked about the Spiral Burning Godzilla. That's on the channel, so please check that out. So we got some great stuff planned for y'all for the foreseeable future on Collect All Monsters. And me and Kyle already talked about what I think we're going to do at G Fest, and it's going to be awesome. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not going to tell you what it is because we're still trying to iron some things out, but it's going to be awesome. It's going to be monumental, and it's going to be a first. That's all I'm going to let you know about that. It's going to be a first. So if you're going to G Fest, Collect All Monsters is going to be there in full effect, and we're going to have a great, awesome time. And we hope to see you there. In the meantime, get this film just a little bit love. Just a little bit love. All right? So that's it. So we're finishing out with our famous catchphrase that our awesome, fearless leader on Collect All Monsters does. I don't have the epic voice as him. I know I prefaced that by saying that before I even say the catchphrase. He has that Barry White type of tone, baritone tone that comes to his voice. I don't have that. I really don't. But I'm going to try and do the best I can to mimic it, as I always do. So again, everybody for being here, thank you so much for hearing my random off-the-wall thoughts about the 98 Godzilla film. I really do appreciate it. I really do. And we'll see you on the next Collect All Monsters project here on the YouTube channel or on our Collect All Monsters Monster Collectors Facebook group. All right, so until next time, our planet may be doomed, our Earth devastated, the monsters are in revolt, and civilization is in chaos. We must unite, and he's part of the collection too. We must unite and collect all monsters. And yeah, size does matter. Take it easy, folks. Bye.